When they saw what it was, the two friends sighed in disappointment. "It's just the wrapper from a chocolate bar," Rachel said sadly. She bent down and picked up the shiny purple foil. Kirsty thought for a moment. "Do you remember what the Fairy Queen said?" she asked. Rachel nodded. "Let the magic come to you," she said. "You're right, Kirsty. We should just enjoy our holiday and wait for the magic to happen. After all, that's how we found Ruby in the pot at the end of the rainbow, isn't it?" She put down her beach bag on the sand. "Come on, race you into the sea." They rushed into the water. The sea was cold and salty, but the sun felt warm on their backs. They waved at their parents sitting on the sand and splashed about in the waves until they got goosebumps. "Ow!" Kirsty gasped as they paddled out of the water. "I just stood on something sharp." "It might have been a shell," said Rachel. "There are lots of them round here." She picked up a pale pink one and showed it to Kirsty. "Let's see how many we can find," Kirsty said. The two girls walked along the beach looking for shells. They found long, thin blue shells and tiny, round white shells. Soon their hands were full. They had walked right round the curve of the bay. Rachel looked over her shoulder, and a sudden gust of wind whipped her hair across her face. "Look how far we've come," she said. Kirsty stopped. The wind tugged at her t-shirt and made goosebumps stand out on her arms. "It's getting cold now," she said. "Shall we go back?" "Yes, it must be nearly tea time," said Rachel. The two girls began to walk back along the beach. They'd only gone a few steps when the wind suddenly dropped again. "That's funny," said Kirsty. "It's not windy here." They looked back and saw little swirls of sand being blown in the wind where they'd just been. "Oh," said Rachel, and the two friends looked at each other with excitement. "It's magic," Kirsty whispered. "It has to be." They walked back and the breeze swirled around their legs again. Then the golden sand at their feet began to drift gently to one side, as if invisible hands were pushing it away. A large scallop shell appeared, much bigger than the other shells on the beach. It was pearly white with soft orange streaks, and it was tightly closed. Quickly, the girls knelt down on the sand, spilling the little shells out of their hands. Kirsty was just about to pick up the scallop shell when Rachel put out her hand. "Listen," she whispered. They both listened hard. There it was again. Inside the shell, a tiny, silvery voice hummed softly. The Magic Feather. Very carefully, Rachel picked up the shell. It felt warm and smooth. The humming stopped at once. "I mustn't be scared," said the tiny voice. "I just have to be brave, and help will come very soon." Kirsty put her face close to the shell. "Hello," she whispered. "Is there a fairy in there?" "Yes," cried the voice. "I'm Amber, the orange fairy. Can you get me out of here?" "Of course we will," Kirsty promised. "My name is Kirsty, and my friend Rachel is here too." She looked up at Rachel, her eyes shining. "We found another rainbow fairy." "Quick," Rachel said. "Let's get the shell open." She took hold of the scallop shell and tried to pull the two halves apart. Nothing happened. "Try again," said Kirsty. She and Rachel each grasped one half of the shell and tugged, but the shell stayed tightly shut. "What's happening?" Amber called. She sounded worried. "We can't open the shell," Kirsty said, "but we'll think of something." She turned to Rachel. "If we find a piece of driftwood, maybe we could use it to open the shell." Rachel glanced around the beach. "I can't see any driftwood," she said. "We could try tapping the shell on a rock." "But that might hurt Amber," Kirsty pointed out. Suddenly Rachel remembered something. "What about the magic bags the Fairy Queen gave us?" she said. "Of course," Kirsty cried. She put